Hi, so today we are going to cover lesson 1.1, segment length and midpoints. Your essential question: how do you draw a segment and measure its length? We're going to explore some basic geometric terms. In geometry, some of the names of figures and other terms will already be familiar from everyday life. For example, a ray, like a beam of light from a spotlight, is both a familiar word and a geometric figure with a mathematical definition. The most basic figures in geometry are undefined terms, which cannot be defined using other figures. The terms point, line, and plane are undefined terms. Although they do not have formal definitions, they can be described as shown in the table. So this would be something you would want to include in your notes. We have point, a specific location. It has no dimension and is represented by a dot. There's an example, and the ways to name the figure would be point P. A line is a connected straight path. It has no thickness and it continues forever in both directions. So it looks like this. And it's really important that you have arrows on both sides of your line. Different ways of writing it are included here. Line L, line AB, line BA. Those are reversible, that's fine. The notation is AB with a line on top of it, or BA with a line on top of it. And then we have a plane. It's a flat surface. It has no thickness and extends forever in all directions. This is an example of plane R, all right? And you would have 3 points that would consist of your plane. So we can say plane R or plane XYZ, if those are the 3 points that are included in it. In geometry, the word between is another undefined term, but its meaning is understood from its use in everyday language. You can use undefined terms as building blocks to write definitions for defined terms as shown in the table. So now we're going to look at some defined terms. First, we have line segment, or we could just say segment. It's a portion of a line consisting of 2 points called endpoints and all the points between them. So it looks like this. Looks similar to a line, except you do not have the arrows on both sides because it does not extend past those 2 points. We can say segment CD, segment DC, or you can write it with the correct notation is CD with a line on top or DC with a line on top. Our other defined term is ray, is a portion of a line that starts at a point, the end point, and continues forever in one direction. So it's very similar to a line segment, except one side has the arrow, and it does matter the order that you write your ray. So when you say ray PQ, it means it starts at P and goes towards Q and keeps going forever. Same thing with the notation. PQ with an arrow going that direction. For the rays, you cannot take those 2 letters and flip them around. Line segments you can, lines you can, but rays you cannot. So I'm moving on to page 6 now. And it says you can use points to sketch lines, segments, rays, and planes. So I do want to show you a couple examples here. For A, draw 2 points, J and K, and then draw a line through them. So I am going to grab my ruler and I'm going to draw a line. Now, it has to pass through points J and points K. And because it's a line, we have the arrow marks at both ends. For part B, it says draw 2 points J and K again. J and there's K. This time draw the line segment with endpoints J and K. So this time when I draw a line, it will not go past those endpoints. It's a line segment. It does not have arrows. C, draw a point K again and draw a ray from endpoint K. Right. So I'm going to draw a point K and draw a ray from endpoint K, plot a point J along the way. So I'm going to use this ruler. I'm going to bring it down here. And let me get it lined up for you. We'll do that. And point J along the way, which means it has to be included. And now for point D, it says draw 3 points, J, K, and M. J, K, I'll put M over here this time, so that they are not all on the same line. Then draw the plane that contains the 3 points. So if I want a plane of these 3 points, it's going to be, let's try that one more time, make it a little bit neater. That's a plane. That contains the 3 points. And I could put a script letter such as a B like that to show that the plane is plane B. Now, I wouldn't have a point with it because it's naming the plane and not a specific point. So for part E here, give a name for each of the figures you drew. Then use a circle to choose whether the type of figure is an undefined term or a defined term. So for point, we had some different points. We used J, we used K, and we used M. Remember, points are undefined terms. For our line, we did line J, K, with a arrow on top. I'm going to do that one more time because it's not very neat. I'll try zooming in a little bit. And put a little arrow on top. That's really the best arrow I can do. Okay, and for a line, that is also an undefined term. Remember, with a line, you can write it either way. So I could have also wrote KJ with a line on top. Segment, we had segment JK. This is a straight line on top, no arrows. Those are reversible, so I could also write KJ with a line on top. Now, segments are defined terms. Then we have ray KJ with an arrow pointing this direction. Now, I have to make sure I put those in the specific order as which I drew above. Started at K, it went through J, and continued on past J. A ray is a defined term. And then we had a plane. So I could call my plane JKM. Or I can even call it plane B. That's why we use that term, the script B. So if I write plane B, that's another way of representing the same plane. A plane is an undefined term. Okay. So we're going to look at these reflection questions. We're on page 6. And I'm going to zoom in because I do want to be able to type so you can read my writing. I know it's a little bit tough. I'm trying to use the stylus, but I can type into these so you guys have some notes. And as you're taking your notes, you want to write down the vocabulary terms, main ideas. You can draw pictures. Okay. There's some reflection questions here. These might be good questions that you could put as questions in your question column for your focus notes. So like for number 1, it says in step C, would JK, that's ray JK because of the arrow on one side, be the same ray as ray KJ? Why or why not? Well, it wouldn't. That's the one that we're not allowed to flip around. So no, the rays would have different end points and continue in opposite directions. I'm going to take this and I'm going to shrink it down. I know I can do it. I just have to figure it out. Okay. So I want that to go there, but I want it to be a little bit smaller. For number 2, it says in step D, when you name a plane using 3 letters, does the order of the letters matter? So think about that. Does it matter? And the answer to that is no. Okay, it does not matter. So I'm going to add some more text. I'm going to add. So in number 2, we're going to type no using 3 letters. The plane in step D can be named plane AKM, plane JMK, plane KJM, plane KMJ. I'm doing all the different possibilities, and they would all be okay to use as long as you include the 3 of them and you write them. It doesn't matter the order. So looks like there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different ways that you can write the same plane if you're trying to use the 3 points, and they all mean exactly the same thing. For number 3, discuss if line PQ and line RS are different names for the same line. Okay, so if they are different names for the same line, what must be true about points P, Q, R, and S? Well, what must be true? And I'm going to get this whiteboard tool down eventually, so you guys don't have to watch me try to figure it out. It's pretty temperamental. All right, so maybe I'll type first. There it goes. So what must be true? What must be true is that the 4 points all lie on a common line. And that's what we can figure out from that. That's what we can deduce. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and end this first video because I don't want to keep these videos too long. So we've done pages 5 and 6 from our consumable textbook.